Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Kevin Moore joins us. He is the chairman of 3 Proton Lithium. He's here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the do-it-right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are pleased to welcome to the program for the first time Kevin Moore. He is the chairman of 3 Proton Lithium, a company based in Carson City, operating in Railroad Valley. Let's start out with the basics. So tell us where Railroad Valley is so that our viewers and listeners across the state know, and then exactly what you're doing there.
Well, Railroad Valley is east central Nevada. It's Nye County. It is closest town would be Ely. And we have 37,000 acres of leased BLM land. We've got 55 square miles, and we've discovered what we call a superbrine, which is a little bit different from some of the other brine projects you hear in the country about what they're chasing in Arkansas and Texas. We have a 38% salt-saturated brine, which is very rare, and there's only a few of them in the world.
What does that mean?
It means that over time, okay, why this was created, over time this, Nevada was covered by lakes, as everybody knows, and this was sort of the bathtub of the Great Basin. So everything sort of settled here, and so with the salt richness, it allowed these minerals to be created in just amazing concentrations and varieties.
And more so than other places across Nevada? Because we have a lot of, obviously, lithium mining going on.
Yeah, so how we're a little bit different, okay, we're size-wise, we're just large, okay? Right. We've got the largest claim block ever assembled in the state, right? So we're very large. We have a contiguous pool. So we have lithium in salts and brines, which is different than clays or hard rock, right? So just a totally different kind of process. So our project is large, and the variety of minerals we have. We're not just a lithium project, even though it's in the name of the company, right? 3 Proton Lithium.
Right, so you have boron, whatever metals do you have?
We have boron, and we've discovered the presence of rare earth elements, which are very hard to find in the United States, if at all. Neodymium, praseodymium, gadolinium, 3 of the most magnetic elements. We haven't proven out the concentrations, et cetera, but they exist in much higher concentrations in our project than they do in the normal Earth surface.
All right, so where are you at this point in the stage? Because we'll get to the issue in a moment.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as the mining process, where are you at this point in time?
So we've only existed since basically the end of 2017, right? So we're a lot younger than some of the other companies. We've drilled 3 deep wells. We've got
how deep?
Up to 2,500 feet.
Okay.
From 1,800 to 2,500 feet. So 3 deep wells. We've got data from another 12 wells that were drilled in the 60s and 70s. They actually store these samples in Reno at a library, so we're able to go test those samples. So we have data from 15 deep wells. So we've, I'd say we're in the late stage exploration at this point. We're working on our NEPA. We're going through all that. But we'd like to continue to explore it, which we'll get to the issue in a minute, but we'd like to continue to explore it.
Okay, and how far out are you from actually producing lithium and these other metals from this?
We get that question a lot, and given and I get that question from my shareholders as well. But given the processes we have to go through and the NEPA, et cetera, we're probably looking at late 2026 or 2027. I mean, it's not we're not going to be producing something tomorrow. But
but that's not that far out.
Well,
You're talking 3-4 years.
But we've got a lot of sodium carbonate, trona. We've got boron. We've got other things as well. So we're going to have to do a deep study of, as we're studying the results of what we've gotten through these drilling processes to figure out what's going to be the most economically viable product to produce, right? So
so you have not come to that conclusion yet. Is it not automatically lithium?
Well, lithium. Yeah, lithium. The market would tell you, lithium. And if we have as much lithium as we believe we have, which is 82 million tons in the ground. That's.
What's in that an equivalent to? Because that's the measure that people are using. How many electric vehicles?
Well, that's a good.
Power in a year.
So in a year, that's a good question. We're not at the point yet where we know how much we could produce in a year. So we're not a. One of the things about us is we're still a private company, right? We don't really promote very well. Okay, I'll say that. One of our strengths is more the science, right? So we're not in a position to say right now how many electric cars that is, right? I know other people come out and say, hey, we're going to be doing 20,000, 60,000, whatever, but we're not in that position yet. We just know that we've got a bigger footprint, and our footprint would make it easier to produce more.
Okay, so from a financing point of view, where do you sit at this point in time?
Okay, so we decided we started raising money in 2020, March of 2020, which obviously was when COVID hit, right? Sure. So it made it a little bit different. We were actually out raising money when COVID hit, so everybody had to kind of back up, and we thought about going the public route for a while, and we were fortunate enough that through a network that I've had and through some other folks that they know, we were able to fund it privately. So we've raised enough money privately. I've got over 100 shareholders. They're fantastic. They're accretive. Like I've got people in the green energy business. I've got people in the clean energy business. I've got oil and gas people. Half of my investors are oil and gas people. So the narrative of say everybody in Texas and Oklahoma, all they want to do is drill for oil and gas, that narrative is kind of false, right? The truth always lies somewhere in the middle, like it does everywhere else.
There's got to be an expansion because those industries, if things continue in the direction they're going in, those industries are going to go down over time, and it may be 30, 50 years.
Correct.
Because automobiles are going to continue to be powered by oil for a long time to come. If we stop producing new cars today, you're still looking at 25, 30 years
absolutely
of needing that.
Absolutely.
But they need these conglomerates are big enough that they need to know what's going to be out there 40, 50 years from now.
And for our project, which is a brine project, so it's a project where you would drill. You drill for, it's like you're drilling for oil, but you're only drilling down to 1,500 to 2,000 feet. It's a little bit different, but they have the equipment and they have the knowledge to understand what our process would be, which would be to have a small footprint like an oil well, pump out the brine out to a plant that would sit off the playa, and then pump the cleaner water back into the ground once you extract it.
Okay, so you're already looking at remediation of the land before you even start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so as a private company, do you have enough funding already raised to be able to move into the next phase, which would be, if you're able to get there, to the drilling portion? Or at that point, do you have to start going into the public markets?
Yeah, but it's we've explored a lot of different things. We've got a lot of partners that are in the drilling, oil and gas business that are interested in being partners with us, right? So we're in the process of exploring those discussions, and we haven't made a decision yet. I'm not putting going public off totally. But there may be a
no,
path
but it
for us
sounds
to...
like the potentially you have the ability, at least in the early stages, to do this without an IPO.
I mean, we're well funded right now, and it gives us a little bit of, even when I go up to DC and talk to the government folks, it gives us a little bit more flexibility to be a private company with really good shareholders. It really does. Yeah.
Let's talk about the national security implications, because it was interesting, and I'm sure you read all about all the other lithium companies as well. Thacker Pass, it seemed in the decision that the court made that allows Thacker Pass to continue, that they took very seriously the Biden administration's position on this being an issue of national security.
Right.
Are you getting discussions coming your way from the Department of Defense, Department of Energy? What are they saying to you?
So we've talked to the Department of Defense, Department of Energy, just because of the size of this project. We've talked to the folks in Tennessee at the Strategic Minerals repository.
I didn't know we had one.
Well, it's
Tell us
kind
about
of
that.
well, I can't. That's not. I don't know enough about it.
Okay, all right.
But so it's not in my purview.
Strategic Minerals Repository. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, that could be a term that I just kind of created,
okay.
right? But no, we've had the pleasure of talking to a lot of different agencies about our project, and there are a lot of, there's a lot of interest in neodymium, for example. Neodymium goes into fighter jets, and we had to shut down a fighter jet line because we couldn't get neodymium. And you know where we get neodymium?
China.
China, of course. So there's a lot of interest in it. We've engaged. We've had great engagement with the Nevada delegation. Congressman Amadei and Congressman Horsford and the two senators all signed a joint letter when this segregation first came out on behalf of Nye County and some other people that wanted to have a say in the whole NASA issue. So we've gotten really good response from all of them. But we know there's political realities too, right? Everything is political, right? So, it's like I said, the truth's always somewhere in the middle, but generally
Right. Well, and certainly people who watch and listen to this program are very well aware of the political ramifications all the way around. One of the things that's most exciting to me is, and our delegation has pointed this out on many occasions, is we have the whole circle of lithium mining from getting it out of the ground to recycling it. So, from that perspective, it seems to me to be a wonderful thing for the state of Nevada going forward. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and we've got a lot of other issues to ask you about after this time out.
The casino industry drove Nevada's economy for decades. By the 1990s, however, the state's sole industry was in sharp decline. Many were losing their homes, many were leaving the state. Is Reno on track to be the Detroit of the West? Was an October 2010 Reno Gazette-Journal headline. Nevada knew it was time for a change and a time to diversify. Story County took that lead, took risks, invested tens of millions transforming its desert into a place of opportunity and a future for Nevada families needing something new. That desert now provides thousands of high-paying tech, advanced manufacturing, and energy careers at companies like Tesla, Panasonic, Google, Switch, and Redwood Materials. Story County transformed northern Nevada forever, and the tide of opportunity has raised all vessels through construction contracts, high-paying careers, and the power of payroll. Tens of millions have been generated in sales and property tax, permits, and other revenues for Reno, Sparks, Washoe County, and for all of Nevada. Enough, in fact, to generate a surplus after public services are provided. And best of all, a sustainable economic climate has been created, enabling our children to stay in Nevada and live prosperous lives in their home state. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot clothing store and a whole lot more. for work and everyday wear from Noble, Carhartt, Wrangler, and Ariat. They have hats and an extensive selection of gloves. Big R on Bering Boulevard in Sparks next to Smith's, across from Reed High School. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Kevin Moore. He is the chairman of 3 Proton Lithium. They have a huge base of lithium down a Railroad Pass, which is near Ely, but based actually in Nye County. You were talking about China and all the minerals, et cetera. And it triggered a thought that I haven't thought about in a long time. Maybe 5-6 years ago, the New York Times did a massive article on all of the metals and minerals that were available in Afghanistan, and that if we could tap into that, that could change the whole economy of the country. Does anybody ever talk about that anymore?
You know who's tapped into it?
Who?
China.
China.
Yeah. So that's really the simple answer, right? China's tapped into it.
That's scary.
Yeah, China's tapped into Africa and the resources down there, and China's tapped into. They're tapped into South America and all those projects in the Atacama. I mean, they're tapped into those. So yeah, they're everywhere. You know, they're aggressive. And the one thing that's always a little bit confounding to me is that you know we have resources here in the country, right? We have resources. The Biden administration, you know, is trying to do certain things with electric vehicles, whether you agree with the process or not. And and we have something they need. You would think that there would be an excitement to kind of help move the process along, because we're going to have to get these minerals from somewhere, right? And
yes.
It's and you know, climate change and you know it's been hot, right? Everybody knows it's been hot, but the world is round, right? So the world is round. Last time I checked, and you know, what they do in Africa and China and other places to get these minerals is pretty dirty. We've got better environmental processes here, so why wouldn't we want to do it here? Why wouldn't that have a bigger impact on climate change for us to do it here?
And you were referring, you know, obviously to the Belt and Road Initiative, which China has been doing. What's been fascinating to see about that in the last year is how many problems that is creating in countries in Africa that took these massive loans for all kinds of rebuilding projects across Africa. Those countries no longer have the money to pay for those, and they are now in bankruptcy to China. So, you know, that may not be the best place to be able to do business. On the other hand, we're in this conundrum, which is that the United States and China do a massive amount of trade, and that is very important to both countries. So, you were saying earlier about, you know, the political divides here, but the realities are that the United States and China are going to be in bed together for a long time just because of those economic situations.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and I think there, you know, when I listen, I've had the pleasure of meeting Mike Gallagher, who runs the China Select Committee in Congress, and yeah, they realize that. They realize that there is a connection, but we've got to be much smarter and put ourselves in a much better position to be a trade partner or be whatever. Right now, we're not in a great position.
How do you sit with the environmental movement? You know, in the state, we've had all kinds of issues. It seems like every time we try to move in the direction of something green, an environmental group pops up and says, "Oh no, you can't do that. It's a flower. It's a this. It's a that. Whatever." I've not seen that as far as your project goes.
I mean, we've had, you know, we've submitted water permits and we've gotten protests, and the protests are that, you know, you just need to prove that you're not going to impact the environment of this species, right? And we take all those really seriously. We do. I mean,
what species?
I mean, there's a Railroad Valley toad. There's I believe a springfish that they're not anywhere on our property, but they're you know, within 7 miles. So we're going to have to prove that we don't impact those, and that's part of our responsibility to prove it. And we're at our expense. We're out there doing that right now, right? So. Do I agree with all the rules? I mean, that's kind of a loaded question, but you know, I was actually asked in a congressional hearing by somebody on the panel about NEPA. It was one of those questions where it was like a four-minute question. They gave me like 10 seconds to answer. Right? It's kind of like, you know, but the rules are the rules. You know, I think when I look at and I don't know the intricacies of Lithium Americas or Ioneer or those projects. I know what I read in the news, right?
Or watching Nevada Newsmakers.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So yeah. So so I don't know the intricacies of those projects, but yeah, I mean, anytime a company, follows the rules and then gets bombarded with lawsuits and protests just for the sake of protesting and lawsuits, that's a problem. That's a real problem here.
And I would say I would agree with you on that. Let's take another break and we'll come back and we'll talk about the 800-pound gorilla that's affecting your project. We'll be right back.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Kevin Moore. He is the chairman of 3 Proton Lithium. They have a lithium mine that they are exploring down in Railroad Valley, or Railroad Pass, I should say.
Railroad Valley.
No, Railroad Valley.
It's Valley.
Railroad
It's Valley.
Pass is the casino.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. Which is in Nye County, but near Ely. So let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla. So you're not getting objections as much from the environmental community, but you got NASA.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so explain what NASA has been using this land for, which is kind of fascinating, and how you're going to mitigate that one.
Okay, so it affects, just to say, it affects 11,000 acres of our 37,000, right? So it bisects it almost perfectly in the middle, right? So it picks up the deepest part of the pool, right? So that happened out of, we've been out there since 2017 and paying our fees every year and doing what we getting our permits, and in April of 2021 this showed up, right? The segregation just dropped. We had no knowledge it was coming, et cetera. NASA since for years, maybe for 30 years, has been out there calibrating satellites. So they calibrate satellites from space, and they need what they say is they need an undisturbed, pristine ground surface to do that has almost perfect reflectivity, right? So they can't have any significant disturbance of the playa. What that is defined as is really not defined. It's essentially, because we've seen other places where they do this where there is some disturbance, right? There's some level of disturbance. So our process, even in full production, would disturb less than 1% of 1% of the playa, right? So we're not going to disturb a whole lot of the playa, but that's kind of where it is. So that process was a 2-year withdrawal segregation, looking into they had to do an environmental assessment. They had to have a public process, which essentially was a Zoom call with 50 people on it, where we got to speak for maybe 30 seconds, right? So yeah, it's been we've been a little frustrated. And if I'm getting ahead of your questions, let me know. But,
no, you're fine.
But
give me details.
So we once this went into place, we immediately tried to reach out to certain people in NASA and just have a conversation, because we had seen internal presentations that showed pictures of backhoes and evaporation ponds and all the stuff that we have no intention of doing. And we continually through this process, through our submittal, said, hey, this is not our process. This is what we're going to be doing. We're not going to be doing this. We're not going to be affecting the playa dramatically. And we continually saw these things. Like we continued to read about evaporation ponds. We heard the word blasting a month ago. Somebody from political office said, yeah, they had talked to somebody over there. They were worried about you blasting the playa. I'm like, we're a brine and salt project. We're not hard rock. So at some point, you say, okay, they weren't educated about what we were going to be doing out there. But at some point, it gets a little bit disingenuous, right? I mean, when it's just repeated over and over again to form some sort of narrative.
You tell a lie often enough, it becomes the truth.
Yeah.
So where do you? We've got about 30 seconds here.
Okay.
Where do you sit at this point in time with NASA?
Well, I mean, we still, we believe we have legal rights, and we're going to protect our legal rights. I'll just say that up front. We have no intention of going and filing lawsuits right now. We believe that there's a simple answer here. This is not a zero-sum game. This is not a matter of deciding what's more important for national security. What NASA does out there, monitoring climate change and doing other things, or what we can do, which is reducing climate change to some extent, right? So it doesn't have to be one or the other. We believe that just having smart minds sit in a room and hash this out, if there's certain things, rules that we have to follow, we're fine with that. So.
All right, well, that's where we have to leave it for today, but please come back and continue to update us on this discussion with NASA. It's a fascinating project, and again, I'm just thrilled that Nevada gets to be a part of this whole process, from bringing the lithium out of the ground to recycling it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be right back.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcast. We'll see you on the next project.